Hello and welcome to episode 8.5 of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on the 21st of February 2016. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me, as always, the reddest of velvetest of cakes.
Caffeine Rage. No, I'm not going to use the other name here, even though Biff would probably love it.
Yes, he would, but that's where I got that from. On today's show, we are going to be discussing... pull it up. Already going to have a cut.
Amiibo, Disney Infinity, and Skylanders.
That is correct. Amiibo, Disney Infinity, and Skylanders.
And a very abbreviated episode because, well, do you want to go into that?
Yes. So I am going on a trip next week, and my flight is now stupidly early, and we record the podcast stupidly late the night before when my flight would be. So I would either have to be up all night, which is not good for traveling, or...
I thought you just wanted to get drunk while traveling.
Well, I mean, that's the best way to travel, if I'm honest, but... No, I need to get some sleep before I head to this conference. It's kind of one of those things where it's like mostly a vacation, but there are some things that I have to do. These conferences are pretty much always like that, but the traveling part's the worst. So we're recording this on a Saturday night instead of a Tuesday night.
A couple of swinging guys. We know how to have a good Saturday night. Sit around and bullshit about video games.
I mean, that's really, what else could you be doing at this time? Nothing that is better, that's for sure.
Well, technically it is Sunday morning now.
Yeah, true. But I mean, I haven't been to bed yet, so it's still Saturday night. And I said that with all seriousness. I would much rather sit around and bullshit about video games than do just about anything else, so...
Not a clubber guy?
I never was, no. Not a big party guy. I'm much too much of an introvert for that kind of stuff. Too many people too close together.
Well, I was too much of a loser.
Well, there was probably some of that in there too, but...
Yeah, well, I probably shouldn't use the past tense on that either.
Nah, you're not a loser. Just get that thought right out of your head. You're pretty cool. You got the voice of an angel, so...
If you believe Biff, that is.
I believe me when I say that you have the voice of an angel.
Yeah, an angel that comes down, smoking a cigar. Yeah, what do you want?
I mean, that's the kind of angel I want. I don't know what kind of angel you were thinking about before, but that's all I want. An angel smoking a cigar and...
Tattoo on his arm.
Yeah, carrying a shotgun or something.
Yeah, robes rolled up.
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
So, have you managed to play a decent amount of games between our last recording and this one? I know that you said that you do a lot of your video rendering and stuff.
I played this amazing game called Sony Vegas.
Wow, it's Vegas. Is there gambling involved?
Yeah, it's quite amazing. You sit there and you watch the bar slowly fill up.
Whoa! And what do you get when it fills?
A few gigabyte size file.
Wow, that's what I always wanted. Was one of those.
Yeah, but I did get to play Card Hunters with you on Friday, so I did technically play something, and I played a little bit of Warframe between now and when we last recorded, and that's been about it. Which honestly, Warframe is not something that you could really talk a lot about. It's very samey, outside of events going on. Yeah.
Well, I actually played a whole bunch of different games, but none of them long enough to really talk about, except Eve. So I'll go through the list. I played Eve.
There's a shock.
Yeah. I played Car Hunters with you on Friday.
Well, how did your mutiny go?
Very well. We made off with the loot. A lot of loot.
Have they figured it out yet?
Oh, yeah, they know. I have a bounty on my head large enough to potentially attract some gankers in high-sec space, but it's worth it.
Does the bounty stay on there until someone claims it, or...?
Yes, the bounty is there until someone claims it, as far as I know. It might roll over, like, every month or something like that, but I've seen people with, like, multi-billion-dollar bounties, so wow. I imagine that those build up over time. But anyway, so I got a huge bounty on my head, but we walked away with something like the estimate, like it gives you like a little estimator on what something's going to cost, or you know, if you sold it on the market. And we've got around 4 billion ISK in loot apiece. So we did well. And nobody died. Like, we didn't die on the way out. So we just have bounties on our heads. But, you know, it's all right. It's worth it. Because even if I get killed and somebody claims the bounty, I still get to keep all the stuff. I'm not going to carry around all the stuff in my cargo hold.
No, you're not that stupid.
No, I dumped all of that immediately. So we're trying to decide what to do now because we've got a little bit of a disagreement on what we want to do.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I think that like we've all got our stuff, so at worst we would just be like, okay, here's where we part ways. But I want us to join up with the new corporation that my alt has joined, and one of them wants to form another corporation, and one of them just wants to stay together as a group and like not form a corporation, but just get together and run operations and stuff like that. And then the fourth guy's like, I don't care what we do. I'll just go with the flow. But so far we haven't been able to reach a compromise.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, if worse comes to worse, we'll just go our separate ways. We've each got our share of the loot. So no problems there, I think. Unless somebody gets greedy. But then again, I'm not carrying around all that stuff on my ship, so at worst, they'll kill me for the bounty and then it'll be over. Other than Eve, though, played Card Hunters with you.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that's about the only game that I could really talk about. We did a 3-player multiplayer stream.
Yeah, and it was a blast with 3 players, because you and I had played it multiplayer before, but it limits you to 1 character apiece, and you can't build or get the 3rd character for your party. So
yeah, and the game is really balanced around having 3 characters.
Right. And we could go back with 2 and do the lower level stuff, and I think it would still be somewhat of a challenge.
Yeah,
but
the way they try to balance it is make it so that if you have 2 players instead of 3, it gives you an extra card each. But honestly, you're still getting the damage split between you, so it's not as good.
Yeah, it doesn't make up for it. But yeah, we're gonna do that some more. I think we had a good time with it. I'm pretty sure Be Cool had a good time too. He's really quiet, so it's hard to tell, but
yeah,
I have heard him complain before, and he wasn't complaining, so I think he had a good time.
Yeah, some of our group does complain a lot.
Yes.
Granted, I've been known to complain as well, so I can't say that I'm a perfect angel, even though you think I'm the voice of one.
You have the voice of an angel. I didn't say that you were perfect like an angel, but your voice will get you many places.
Oh my.
Other than Card Hunters, though, I played a Kingdom for Keflings, which is an extremely old, well, not extremely old, but a pretty old Xbox 360 game. But since Xbox has, the Xbox One now has the first wave of backwards compatible games, a lot of the arcade titles are now backwards compatible. And I probably owned, 50 or 60 Xbox Live Arcade titles. And I've been trying to find fun games to play with my kid, or at least that he'll watch me play. And my current library of Xbox One games is limited to Forza 5 for that purpose. Everything else is way too adult for him as a 2-year-old. So it's just like, well...
Oh, what are you talking about? He can learn language from some of them.
Yeah, I'm sure he could learn language that his mother would not be happy about, and then she'd kill us both. We did play Forza 5 for about 5 minutes, and he was like, ooh, shiny racing, and then he was bored. Then we played Kingdom for Keflings.
So just about like real racing.
I love real racing. I could sit and watch racing for hours. Not NASCAR, though. That gets boring.
Well, you need to throw a right turn in every so often, right?
Every once in a while, yeah. But, so, we played Kingdom for Keflings for a little while, and that seemed to be a hit. If you've never heard of Kingdom for Keflings, it's just kind of a... It's a top-down... What did you say?
Yeah, I'm looking it up because I have no idea what this game is.
Yeah, it's a top-down kind of little management game. It's really peaceful, and like the Keflings are just like, I'm not sure if they're like tiny creatures or if you're supposed to be a giant, but just they're little tiny humanoids, and you direct them around and tell them to collect resources.
Well, the Wikipedia page has probably a good description of it. Dashes of SimCity and black and white.
Yeah, that's pretty correct.
With some of the settlers thrown in.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you just have them collect resources and you build a little town, and Just do, there's cute music and stuff like that. He seemed to like it. We played it for like a half an hour.
So how long before you get him addicted to Minecraft?
Hopefully by the time he's like 3 or 4. So
yeah, you just have him mine for you all day.
Yeah, just here you go, kid. I want you to dig out a 40 by 40 cube down here. Just put all the resources in this chest, and I'll sort it out later.
And then he looks at you and says, "What's 40?
What's a cube?
What's a mine?" And that's when you disown him.
I won't have anyone in my house who doesn't understand mining. But those are all the games I played this week. Well, in the last few days.
Yeah, this is going to be a very weird episode.
Yeah, so another thing right off the bat is we're not going to do Community Corner this week.
Well, I do want to mention that Billion Lights has been playing catch-up with us. A very short Community Corner. Billion Lights tweeted at us that he listened to 3 or 4 episodes during a car trip. And it's amazing that he didn't find a cliff to drive off of. Because can you imagine driving and having the two of us sitting in the back seat bickering about video games the entire time? He has a very strong will. But thank you, Billion Lights.
I would find that particularly amusing. I mean, I have went back and listened to every single episode all the way through, technically twice. Once to edit it, and a second time to double-check my edits and look for ways to improve editing in the future.
Oh, I don't listen to the show, but then again, I'm not a huge fan of my voice, so...
Yeah, and I haven't killed myself yet, so...
Yeah, but did you do it all in one evening?
No. I've done it many evenings, though. I mean, our shows are like 3 hours long normally. So I actually record the show with you for 3 hours. Then I listen to it once through editing it. Granted, my editing pass is getting faster and faster all the time. And then I go back and I listen to the whole thing one more time. And I do that for every single episode. All of them.
You don't get paid enough. Oh, wait, you don't get paid.
I was going to say I don't get paid at all.
At least until we become corporate shills for something, right?
Absolutely. I will shill anything. What am I saying right here next to me? Bigelow tea bags. Delicious.
Oh, granted, me being snarky on Twitter about Hitman beta coming out and me just crossing out and putting in the font demo instead doesn't help.
That was really funny. I had a good laugh at that.
Yeah, bad things happen whenever I get bored and have my image editing software open.
Yeah, if I got bored, I would just go play more video games. Sadly, I don't have as much free time as I'd like. I'd say most people are in that boat, but... it's like, what would I, if I had the time to get bored, I would just go play more video games.
Well, it's usually whenever I'm doing something like that, I can't really tie myself down to a video game.
Yeah.
I had something coming up and, I was going to record with you in a couple hours, so I didn't want to dive too far into a video game. And I was supposed to meet up with a friend before that, so, I was expecting to be like 10, 15 minutes. Which is not really a lot of time for most games.
You could get a mobile game and go sit on the toilet. What we should do is we should set up a Patreon account. Maybe someone would give us some money.
Biff send us $20 just for me chuckling for an hour and a half.
I'm okay with that. He can send you a chuckle fee. Or we can charge him a chuckle fee. Every time you chuckle, he has to pay us $1.
I like this idea.
I wonder how much money we could get from just 3 hour, like a 3 hour supercut of you laughing. Then we just send that to him. Here's the episode of the podcast. I told a really good joke in the pre-show, and then we started rolling, and well, here's what we got.
Just send him the cackle for what was a Bikini Warriors Mahjong or something.
Oh, Pretty Girls Mahjong Battle.
Yeah.
Pretty Girls Texas Hold'em. Probably be playing some of those on my trip if my internet sucks. It's 50-50 on these trips whether or not you get decent internet or not. If it's decent, I'll just play Eve all week or all weekend. If it's not, well, Pretty Girls Mahjong Battle it is.
Oh, either way, I won't see you.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, with that out of the way, today's topic, one that
we're dipping into the general topics list. We'll go back to news. Well, mostly news next time around. I can't really say next week because next week is Saturday for us.
Well, for the next recording, I mean, you guys will still get this on Friday, so.
With luck.
I mean, I'll have it edited before I leave, and Rage will be very good at double checking to make sure that it gets posted.
Yeah, it's a good thing that I had a typo in the show notes I did for my video.
Well, I would have noticed when my podcast, or when Podcast Addict updated and our new episode wasn't there, but behind the scenes, I did something wrong and the episode didn't schedule for its proper release time, so Rage caught it and fixed it.
Yeah, like I said, I saw an error in my show notes that I had for my video, which I make at the same time as the main show notes, and I basically just have everything where I could just copy and paste it right into the description of my video. I saw an error there. It was I had the wrong word in, and I was like, oh crap. Did I do that on the main show notes? I go over and see draft. That's not right. And it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and there was no MP3 link on it either. And realized, oh, this is bad.
Yep. But you fixed it.
Yeah.
No problem. Nobody noticed.
Except now they'll know.
Well, now they all know. We spoiled the illusion of professionalism, but
wait,
that's
we had an illusion beforehand?
Yeah, we did totally.
Why didn't anyone tell me this?
Didn't you get the memo?
We have memos?
Yeah, we have memos. I mean, I made that paper airplane really, really well so that it would fly all the way to you.
Oh, see, that's it. You didn't account for the lag. It would take at least 2 or 3 months for a paper airplane to get to here. From there.
I didn't realize how much lag that there would be. I was thinking it would just be a few hours.
See, the complete lack of a tailwind.
Oh, I see. Well, next time I'll have to put tiny propellers on my paper airplane.
Ooh, getting fancy.
Yeah.
And we're completely off topic, so let's go ahead and talk about our topic of the day, Amiibo, Disney Infinity, Skylanders, and that sort of fun stuff.
Right. So this is a topic that I put on the general topics list because I play Disney Infinity, and I own an Amiibo or two. I'm familiar with Skylanders, but I've never played Skylanders.
Yeah,
so
I don't own any of this stuff. I've been tempted by one Amiibo. It was the 8-bit Mario, but that's mostly because 8-bit Mario is what I started gaming with. So, it had that nostalgia factor, and then I realized I'm paying $30 for basically something to sit on my desk. I think it was 30 or something. It was when it was really popular, so the price went up.
Yeah, I bet 8-bit Amiibo is more expensive now, or 8-bit Mario is more expensive now than it was. So head on over to Amazon.com and check out 8-bit Mario right now before I forget about it. 8-bit Mario Amiibo. Oh no, okay, he's not that expensive. He's only $13 from Amazon Prime.
Well, I guess there was just a big rush when it came out because it was like 25 or 30.
Yeah, scalpers, man, buying them all up, which is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. But so you've got an outside perspective looking in.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on all of these things, these little toys?
It's basically DLC with figures, and I'm not a huge fan of DLC in general. Granted, I don't know 100% of what these Amiibos actually do. It looks like a lot of cosmetic DLC, some content, very rarely. And it just seems so crazy that Nintendo, I will use the Amiibo example because that's the one that I'm most familiar with, as in I have no idea of Disney Infinity or Skylanders at all outside of their things.
Right.
And Nintendo does this false rarity that they also did with the Wii itself back when it came out to drive up the price, and it just seems so utterly stupid to lock away content behind a physical product that they are going to only produce a certain number of, that they're making rarer than it should be. It just seems like absolute lunacy to me.
Yeah.
Fairly sure the Wii U suffered it a bit, not nearly as much as the Wii, but then again, the Wii U had this weird thing where the name of it doesn't really make it sound like it's a new console. It makes it sound like it's an add-on for the old one, which to the uninformed public, someone that doesn't go into the gaming news and stuff, is going to look at this and think, oh, well, that's just like a tablet add-on to the Wii. I don't need that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Nintendo has a very rich history of doing false rarity for things.
Right. Well, Disney Infinity, or maybe it was Skylanders, one of the two of them called Nintendo out for that, saying that there's no reason that they should be having supply issues. If they actually are having supply issues, they need new suppliers. So for your benefit, and then the benefit of any listeners who aren't familiar with this stuff either, let me explain to you the difference between the three. So Amiibo work with Nintendo, and there's little scanners on the Wii U's little gamepad, and then on the new 3DSs, they've also got little scanners, and they've got NFC chips in the bottom that store data in them. And the way the Amiibos works is they're much more like a physical piece of DLC, because most of them come with skins on them or maps or something of that nature that you can only get by having the Amiibo.
Yeah, I also heard something like AI for Brawl or Super Smash Brothers.
I was going to get to that. Smash Brothers is really the only exception to that rule. Each Amiibo can be put into the Smash Brothers game to fight alongside you. And they start out at level 1. And they gain experience and they learn new fighting techniques, which you can train them in and stuff like that. They start out super weak, but they can get stronger than the max level AI in the game. And that all of that information is stored on the NFC chip. So if you go to a friend's house, you can take your Amiibo with you and then take your have your fighter come alongside you and still fight with you. Which that's pretty cool. I've got a Samus Amiibo, and she's way better than I am at Smash Brothers, so hooray for that, I suppose. Then Skylanders and Disney Infinity are much more similar. They're different from Nintendo, but they're pretty much copies of each other with just a different theme. Skylanders being it's a new kind of made-up fantasy theme, and all of the pieces are these fantasy creatures, those dragons and different animals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then Disney Infinity is based around Disney characters. So you got your classic Disney characters like Toy Story, Lion King, the princesses, Cinderella and whatnot. And then you've got the more modern Disney stuff, some of the Pixar, the late era Pixar stuff, and Star Wars and Marvel. And they also have the NFC chips in them that store information, because as your characters level up by doing missions and things like that, that carries over into the chip, and so you can take your figure with you and you can plop it down into your friend's game. But these are bigger figures, and both Skylanders and Disney Infinity come with these little pads that you plug into your console, and then you put the characters in the specific spots on the pad, and then they've got little, what are they called, world chips or something like that. They go on another spot on the pad, which loads the levels that you can play in and the rule sets that you can follow. So you've got a whole bunch of separate things to put together to make a game.
Yeah, they did release it on Steam. They have Disney Infinity on Steam, and it has $170 worth of DLC.
Yeah, you can get Disney Infinity for free in quotation marks if you download it from their website.
I like some of the reviews. They call it free to pay.
Yeah. So basically, if you buy, well, I guess it really doesn't matter if you buy the physical or the digital version. You still have to buy everything separately. The only difference in the physical and the digital version is if you're playing a digital version, you don't need the pad to put the figures on, which I'm sure it's somewhere along the line we're paying for that, but it's included with every purchase of the game. So it's, air quotes, free. But in order to play Disney Infinity or Skylanders, you need a game. And for Disney Infinity, there's 3 versions of the game. There's Disney Infinity 2.0 and 3.0. And 2.0 introduced the Marvel characters, and 3.0 introduced the Star Wars characters. So you need a game, you need a pad, or not, I guess you don't really need one if you're doing the digital version, like I said before. So you need a game, then you need a character. Every character levels up separately, and they all unlock stuff in the game, like specific to their world, and pieces that you can play with in what's called the toy box in Disney Infinity, which that's the thing that separates it from Skylanders. It's got the toy box where you can build your own worlds and import other people's worlds and just generally play around. Just kind of a big free play mode. It's not quite like Minecraft or something like that, but it is a building element. But so it unlocks things for that. Your characters do. And then outside of needing a character, you need the worlds. And there's a whole bunch of them. I don't know how many there are, but there's a bunch that unlock new adventures for each of the different sets. And then the Marvel ones in particular, each different world is a completely different game. The one that comes with the base Marvel set, for example, is a action RPG. Then you can buy other ones. One of them is like a top-down shooter. Another one is a tower defense game. So there's a whole bunch of variety that goes into it, but every single one of them costs money. And Skylanders is the exact same way, except they don't have the toy box.
I will say that it is absolutely brilliant to combine video games and toys like this because, boy, I bet they get a lot of kids buying these things or wanting these little bits of DLC.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's a lot easier to for a kid to ask, well, I want this little figure instead of saying, well, I want this DLC on the game.
Instead of saying, I want your credit card information, just buy me the toy.
It seems so sleazy, doesn't it?
Kind of. I have to say I love Disney Infinity. I really do. I mean, I play it somewhat frequently with my wife, and I really enjoy it. The figures are cool. And let's be honest, I'm just a kid in a grown man's body. The figures are cool. I like, to play with Marvel characters and the Disney characters. I don't have the 3.0, so I can't use the Star Wars stuff yet. But
Yet.
Yeah, yet, exactly. But, I like it. It's fun. And the game can actually be pretty challenging. I mean, it starts off on what normal mode is for little kids, but you can turn the difficulty up, and it actually can be a pretty challenging game. I mean, it's the best action RPG Marvel game that has existed, except for maybe Lego Marvel Heroes.
Well, there is a ARPG Marvel game that I'm blanking on that's a free-to-play.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Marvel Heroes, I think.
Yeah, I think it is, and supposedly it's gotten a lot better. Yeah, it's Marvel Heroes. They're listening. It's Marvel Heroes 2016 on Steam. Supposedly it's gotten a lot better since launch. I just wanted to throw that out there, that it's not the only game in town, even though, damn, this is expensive to buy all the stuff on as well.
Yeah, I
imagine licensing is going to be a huge factor in that, though.
Yeah, I was listening to the most recent co-optional, and Total Biscuit was saying that it was a lot better than it used to be. And I played it when it first came out. I had a press pass with everything unlocked. I still hated it, but I'm willing to give it another shot, especially if TB is saying, yeah, it's pretty good. Because he and I usually tend to feel the same way about games.
In other words, you were delighted when he did the Warframe videos.
Yes, I was.
Completely off topic.
Yeah, so Skylanders, Disney Infinity, it's difficult. It's to say whether or not they're exploitative. Or
I would say that they're
sleazy.
blurring the line.
They are blurring the line, and they make it difficult. The thing that gets me, I don't care about them charging for each of the toys. That can get extremely expensive, sure, but it's not like Amiibo. When you buy a toy, there's, you get that toy. There's nothing else that you have to do to put the toy in the game. There's nothing else that you have to have. It's if I want to play Captain America, I go buy Captain America, I put him in my Marvel game. That's it. I'm done. I don't have to do anything else with that. The part that gets me is the level packs. And this is the only thing that to me is pretty crappy. So you buy them in little booster packs, and you get these little chips. I mean, they basically look like, I don't know, big rounds.
So you're buying them blind?
You're buying them blind. Now, some of them you can buy straight up. All of the big adventures, you can just buy those. But all of the little random level packs and adventure packs, the short ones, they come in little trading card packs.
That is so sleazy.
That is pretty crappy. Because, you could wind up with a whole bunch of the same one. That's the only part that really makes me upset. All the rest of it, I don't have a problem with. Because I get it. I mean, mostly it's directed at kids who want to play with the toys, and then they've made it where the adults can enjoy it too. But it's just in order to get more money.
What would your feelings be if it didn't have the figures attached to it. If Amiibos were just DLC instead of having the figure on top of it.
I would be okay with that. I mean, I like...
Well, also adding in all the other practices that Nintendo is doing with the Amiibos, where it's limited time and limited rarity, where they only release however many thousand copies of the DLC, and then they cut off sales.
I mean, that would never work with DLC. People let them get away with it with the Amiibos because they're physical items, which I still think is garbage. I don't think that Nintendo should be getting away with that, but people let it slide because it's a physical item. But if it was DLC, they couldn't get away with it, and it would be okay. Although I don't really know what you would pay for most of that DLC stuff. I mean, generally, it's just kind of like little value adds. Like, oh, you want the cute toy? Well, also, the cute toy gives you, like, a different skin in the game for Kirby. It's like, well, Kirby is just a pink blob. Most of his skins come from eating other people. What kind of skin can you give him?
Well, Mario just had an accident, and now Kirby has Mario's hat. Mario picked on the wrong blob.
Nintendo, though, I don't like what Nintendo does with the Amiibo.
Well,
Skylanders...
Sorry, I was going to say, Mario. People let Nintendo get away with a lot of stuff because there's a lot of nostalgia with Nintendo. If this was Sony doing this sort of thing, if this was Microsoft, if it was really any other company, the stuff that Nintendo pulls with Amiibos they would be crucified.
Yeah, I was thinking, crucify him.
Burner.
Burn the witch. But, yeah, Nintendo, I don't like what they do with Amiibo. They started out okay. They were putting lots of little value adds on them, and like all the Amiibos would work with all the games and things like that. But the more and more they've released more and more Amiibos, they've just gotten more and more specialized and more, honestly, crappy.
So it's the case of give them an inch and they'll take a mile.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what's happened with it. Because you're getting less and less value adds for the Amiibo. Like, okay, so for the newest Zelda game, the Amiibo that's coming out with that game has got I believe it's an entire dungeon locked away on the Amiibo. And there's literally no other way to get it. They've said...
Isn't that the Amiibo that they're packing in with the game, so they're trying to combat reselling?
No, I don't think so.
I remember hearing somewhere that they were packing that in with the... I'm going to do searches while you talk. Go ahead, blather away.
Yeah, but so unless this has changed, in which case I was unaware, they were putting an entire dungeon behind an Amiibo. And if you didn't buy the Amiibo, you couldn't get the dungeon. And of course, it's going to be in a popular Amiibo. It's for a Zelda game. And it wasn't going to be made that dungeon wasn't going to be made available for DLC or a special edition of the game or nothing. Only on the Amiibo. And that makes me so angry. Like, when they were starting out, like, oh, yeah, it's just a cute little skin you can get if you have the Amiibo. I'm like, okay, I'm not bothered by that. But now that's content that people can actively enjoy, and they're locking it behind a physical paywall that also makes it DLC. And it's just like, I don't know, it's scummy. It's like one of the worst DLC practices that there has been. And if they keep getting away with it, they'll keep making it worse.
Yeah, the EA model, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble finding it just because there's just so much Zelda Amiibos coming out.
Yeah. I would be less inclined to be upset about it. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Let's see. The one talking about the challenge dungeon. It's the one with the wolf with the thing on its back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm seeing if it's a pack-in or not, and I'm not seeing either way.
I don't think it was. They might have announced it and changed it because there was pretty big backlash from it. But anyways, I wouldn't be as upset about it if Amiibos were easier to get. I mean, there's a few Amiibo that you can pretty much always guarantee that you can get, like Mario, Peach, Donkey Kong, Yoshi, Pikachu. Pretty much those are always on store shelves every time I walk into a Walmart or a Target or something. But, I mean, Marth or Battle Knight or the Squid Kids. You never see those anywhere except on Amazon or other online retailers, which are most of the time scalpers who are selling them back to you for 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. More for some of the really rare amiibos.
Ooh, I just found something else that makes me really turn against amiibos.
What?
Link and Toon Link amiibos can be scanned once a day to restore arrows, while the Zelda and whatever the hell that is amiibo can restore hearts. So they're literally pay-to-cheat DLC at this point.
Interesting. I did not realize that.
That's according to an article on Nintendo Insider, dated January 21st of 2016.
So
that is scummy as hell.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but I'm hugely against pay-to-cheat DLC. It used to be you would input a button combination to get big head mode or get a bunch of money in a game. Now you're swiping your fucking credit card.
Pay 99 cents for big head mode.
Yeah, don't give EA an idea. I'm pretty sure they've already done that now that I think about it. Oh, that is just so scummy. I'm trying to find more info on the Wolf Link amiibo. That's the one that's the challenge dungeon.
Right. You keep looking. So, amiibos I have a problem with.
Okay. It's not a pack-in.
Okay.
Wow. It is... Or is it? Oh, no, this is a pack-in. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD plus amiibo. So you're getting a game. It's not the new game, though.
Okay.
So you have to basically have the old game to get this. Oh, that is so scummy.
Yep. Amiibo, in my opinion, is the worst out of these toy add-on things. I don't have a problem with them in principle. And like I said, I really like Disney Infinity because I like the Disney overall theme, and I think that they're doing it right, at least as right as they can without being crappy corporations, by building in it the entire game, the entire model, everything around the idea of these toys, because at least you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting into with that. But amiibos are just little add-ons, or they're little tack-ins.
Or at least they should be. It does look like they're going to be selling the Wolf Link amiibo by itself starting next month. But who knows the rarity of that and how long they're going to offer it. And the thing is that you have to look at this also in a game preservation sense, where someone 20 years from now is going back and playing these games. How the hell are they going to get these amiibos at a fair price?
Yeah. Also, even if they have them, what if the NFC chips have broken or have died?
Yeah, what's the lifespan on an NFC chip? I have no idea.
I have no idea either. Quick Google search to the rescue.
Yep. Yeah, I'm searching myself. Looks like they don't have a particular lifespan. They have a number of scans that they could take, which is measured in tens of thousands.
Is there a typical tens of thousands of scans that an NFC chip can take?
That's just this one real quick thing I found, is that an NFC tag can be scanned and rewritten continuously without physical damage and will last many years. The scan limit indicated by the NFC chip manufacturers is typically 10,000. However, in practice, it can be much higher than that.
Okay, so a little bit less worried about them working if you get them. It's possible.
Yeah, it's not like floppy disks. Buying a floppy disk now that was made in the late 80s, early 90s. It's a lot less of a volatile medium.
Right. Okay, well, learn something new.
And
but
actually,
still, it is possible.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm kind of mixed on this because I'm still looking at this sort of as looking back at a game. Because that's really how I'm going to get so much heat for this, but Nintendo for me is my gaming past. I haven't played a Nintendo console since the Nintendo 64. I've done a little bit emulation here and there on games past that, but still for me, I look at Nintendo as my history. So whenever I think of Nintendo games, I look at Nintendo games from 15, 20 years ago, and with this DLC, I'm going to call Amiibos DLC just for semantics because they are DLC. Let's just call a spade here.
Right.
They are kind of mixed on this because if you go back and 20 years from now and play the newest Zelda game or the Smash Brothers, it is still theoretically possible to get these Amiibos. How would you get DLC stuff or expansions or whatever for games that are 20 years old for other things that are sold purely digital? Odds are that a lot of these developers or these publishers or whatever will stop selling stuff like this. Just look at Mafia 2, for example, going completely off topic, but I'm bringing it back around. Mafia 2 was taken off Steam completely. If you have Mafia 2 right now, you can play the game, but because I didn't buy the DLC for it when it was available, the only way that I could play the extra content, the extra missions, if I wanted to, was to pirate it. There is no legitimate way to get that DLC, and that's assuming that I could even hack it into the game. If there was an Amiibo, I could, in theory, get it from a third party. That there's a third party market to be used DLC, for lack of a better term. So that is really the only pass I give Amiibos, is that it is a non-volatile medium, that it will last. So new players to old games can enjoy all the content. Granted, it will cost them just an absolute ton of money, because these are going to end up being collectible items, or, it'll be in someone's collections. A lot of them will be thrown out, or, these are essentially toys.
Right.
So a lot of them will end up being broken over the years. So they will be more expensive than the $13 or $20 that the typical Amiibos are, but they are still available. So that's really the only pass I give Nintendo on this.
Yeah, it's a good point on the Amiibos that I had never considered. I just always got mad at them for having stupid content locked on them.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm still pissed that they hide content, and the fact that the newest Zelda game is going to require Amiibo to get a challenge dungeon, and the fact that it has pay-to-cheat DLC attached to other Amiibos. So if you're not good at the game, or here's the thing is that, okay, you could use 4 Amiibos to get hearts and arrows, and I think there was another one listed that I can't recall if it was extra damage to you, making the game tougher, or if you did extra damage. And I'm not going to go back and hunt the article. How are they balancing this game? Are they balancing it around the idea that someone's going to have these Amiibos that they could just swipe and get extra hearts? Granted, Zelda games aren't exactly the toughest games out there, usually, but that idea is still there. How are they balancing it around these Amiibos? It's a question that Nintendo just doesn't want to answer.
They probably aren't. I mean, they probably aren't balancing them around the Amiibo. I'd say that they're just making the game, and it's like, oh, if you've got the thing, here you go, have a little power advantage.
Which is still something that I absolutely loathe that in really any form. Cheat codes should not be DLC. Which this is getting into another topic that is on our general topic list, which will be another day, but I think I've already made my position on that clear.
Yeah. Generally, I agree with you on that. I don't know. When we actually talk about it, we might have a couple of talking points in disagreement, but for the most part, I agree with you.
Break it down between different games as well.
Yeah, but for now, we'll just leave that one. Leave that one alone. Do you have any other thoughts about all of this? I mean, I just want to talk about how much I love Disney Infinity and how much I hate Amiibos, but in case somebody out there doesn't know, I did explain what they were.
Yeah, I'm still looking at this as an outsider looking in, and it just seems just utter craziness just in general. Just how much you have to pay into these games. And the fact that you're going to pay in so much more. It's really not quite the mobile idea where you're getting the game for free, but you have to buy all the stuff. And, and in the end, if someone gets addicted to the game, they're spending so much more than they would on just a regular game. Granted, for mobile, that the regular game price is what, $10 max for most things.
Oh, it's way lower than that. Your average mobile game price.
I was saying the absolute max.
Oh yeah, absolute max is probably $10. Well, no, there's a few exceptions. Particularly, Final Fantasy games cost $20 or more on mobile.
Yeah, but that also gets into the Japanese market, which
Doesn't understand mobile.
well, I was going to say the Japanese developers and publishers are typically out of touch with the modern internet. Just look at the draconian stuff that Nintendo's been doing, bring it all the way back around to Nintendo.
Yeah. I have one other feeling about... This is mostly related to Skylanders and Disney Infinity. I think Amiibos have been tacked on since the start, just a way for Nintendo to squeeze some more money out of the Wii U because it has performed so poorly in comparison to particularly the Wii, but even the other consoles of its generation.
Which honestly is, kind of their fault at this point.
Yeah. But, so this doesn't apply to Nintendo, but I think that Disney Infinity and Skylanders are kind of like the old media's, that being physical media's, last attempt to stay relevant. I mean, physicals has still got a few years left in it, probably a decade, I would say, before everything is digital and you're weird if you have physical media.
Or you're a collector?
Or you're a collector, yeah.
You're talking about video games in general, or...
No, yeah, I'm talking about video games in general.
Okay.
And I think that this is kind of a last-ditch attempt for physical items to stay relevant. Like, trends are going all digital. Projections are showing, in the next 15 or 20 years that, And I read a report a couple years ago that said that 2 decades max until physical media is practically irrelevant. So, they're looking at these reports going, oh, shoot, physical media is on the way out. What can we do to keep physical media relevant? Because we can make more money this way because, we can add all these extra fees, and charge more to put a product on a shelf than digital, which companies still, by and large, charge the same for digital content, which is ridiculous, but that's, again, another topic. And so they put all of this stuff up there and just saw if it was going to stick, and it did. So... I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it from a business stance. It's kind of their Hail Mary. Like, well, this is our last chance to innovate and keep something that's in the physical realm
I'm not sure
relevant.
if it's the last chance. I think it may be more of trying to meld games and video, or I should say toys and video games. And this is probably how things are going to be for toys going in the future. Where you get a stuffed animal and it unlocks something in a game somewhere, or... your board game is going to come with a little thing that you could play it online as well. That sort of thing.
Those things already exist.
Yeah, I know. I'm using that as an example of how things will continue to go, how it'll be more common.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, you're describing things that I know exist right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying that will become more and more common, and things that don't come with that sort of thing. You get a teddy bear and it doesn't unlock the ultimate teddy bear destroyer and you have some game somewhere. It's going to be looked at as weird.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Just a different perspective, I suppose. I've known that those things have existed and they're neat, but they've always kind of felt like a novelty. But I suppose that as we progress, more and more to things being much more integrated with other things, that makes perfect sense.
Look at it this way. At one point, cell phones were a novelty.
Yeah, and computers and gaming systems and
television.
If you go
radio.
back far enough, cars were a novelty.
Mm-hmm. Why do you need a car when you can just get a horse?
You just get on a horse.
I mean, granted, it poops a bit, but the cars have bad exhaust as well.
Yeah, but I don't get upset if I step in a car's exhaust.
Well, it depends on how much it's been leaking.
So, okay, yeah, that's a good way, though, to think about what I was saying. I don't know. I'll have to give that one some
I just
thought.
think it's not physical media as last gasp. I think it's physical media trying to find its place in a more digital world. It's not a desperate attempt. It's a look at how things are going to be. And I have to say that I'm feeling like a grumpy old man because I don't like it. But that's beside the point.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You are a grumpy old man. I mean, I love you, but you're a grumpy old man. So that brings us to the close of our topics. I meant to mention this at the beginning of the show, but we got sidetracked. We did receive one full-blown, full-length letter already.
Full length doesn't begin to describe it.
Well, we got another novel, and because of that, and because we're strapped for time, we're actually going to save that for next time.
Yeah, sorry, Supe.
So, Supe, we got your letter. We're going to talk about it. You can send in another one if you want, but since it's a giant wall of text, mostly about Eve, we're going to save that for next time.
That's called bathroom break for me.
You could go take a shower. Go take a bubble bath during the time it's going to take me to get through all of that.
Yeah, put on some soft music, relax for a while, come back. Oh, you're still talking about Eve.
I'll get you some wine, some flower petals. Actually, this sounds great. Get that set up, and I'll be over shortly. We can get in there together.
Oh my, the bathtub cast.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think it would do wonders for our quality of audio.
It would do wonders, though, for our feelings for each other.
Oh, baby.
Wink. So, what can people expect next week?
Yeah, this week. Oh, this feels so weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, what can people expect from you in the future from now?
Well, I put out a special announcement last Thursday, or actually, no, it was Friday, sorry. Talking about the ending of Isaac. I brought it up in the last podcast we did, trying to figure out what was going on with Isaac, and I spent a couple more evenings trying to fix it, and I just got nowhere with it, so I've shelved Isaac completely.
Poor Isaac.
Yeah, well, he's used to being abused.
Oh,
what?
That's rough.
Poor it's not like he's going to cry more.
He might cry more. He's got a lot of tears.
Not until he finds the sad onion. Isaac's been shelved for a while. I'll try fixing it again later, but it will instead pop up in the new series that I'm actually doing on my channel, the Sunday Sampler, which starts the day after we're recording this. The Sunday Sampler is essentially, it's a combination of my Quick Look series, which I did ages ago. Basically, first impressions, pick a random game, do roughly 30 minutes on it, or until I get enough of an impression that either this is decent or this is bad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first game I was going to do, it was so broken that it couldn't even record properly. I finished playing 15 minutes of it, stopped it, went into my raw footage folder, and there was about a dozen different video files where the frame rate on it dipped so low that it actually caused DxTory to close the file and restart on a new one. I'm talking, it went down to single digits several times, and it wasn't the fact that my hardware is getting a little ancient. It's just a very, very poorly optimized and very stupid game. And I know you are looking forward to my thoughts on it.
Yes, I am looking forward to it.
Unfortunately, it's not coming this week. I'll wait until they patch it to see. Well, let's just put it this way. One of the features on this game that I was trying to do, one of the selling points is that it has bugs, and that gives you an idea of the quality here. And it has a lot of asset flips from Unity.
Good old asset flips. It makes me
so the Sunday Sampler will be starting up. We'll have the first episode out. It's going to be quick looks for the most part for now. I'll eventually branch it out into doing other random one-offs, playing a random game for a while. Maybe a little bit of vlogging on a topic that we don't get to in the podcast, or a story that doesn't really fit.
Right.
So it's going to be a bit of vlogging, bit of a quick look, and with some other things mixed in once it gets rolling. And beyond that, I have Darksiders still going strong. Finally got to the Water Temple. on the last episode that I released, even though I hadn't realized it was the water temple yet. That's like the next episode. But stop and think, is this the water temple? Because I realized I was swimming a rather lot. And SteamWorld Dig is... Well, it had some technical difficulties as well, same as Isaac. But the thing is that SteamWorld Dig would just suddenly drop down to like half frame rate and just slow down. But restarting the recording fixed it, so I had to patch together like 2 episodes out of like 3 parts. Let's just put it this way. You know I'm having a bad time when I have to break out the Indian head test signal because I lost video. Yeah, I've only had to use that a few times, but it's a good filler instead of just going black screen, you know? Plus it amuses me.
I was going to say, it's just amusing.
Yeah, having the old Indian head test signal just suddenly pop on screen and fizzling and with static.
Does it beep too? Does it beep?
No, I actually have the file set up where it does static, or just a white noise for a few seconds, and then it goes down volume. Like, oh crap, the video died, and I'm turning down the volume. But I typically don't use that part of it, just because it's when I made the file, it was too loud.
Yeah. So
I turned that down, and then I just remove it. I'm probably going to remake that file at some point and just have it be no audio in it whatsoever.
Right.
And besides that, I'm tweeting on Gaming with CR, the YouTube channel is, as always, Gaming with Caffeine Rage, and I've started tweeting out fixed advertisements, which really amused you.
Yeah, it was really good. I liked the one about Ant-Man.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing some more of those, just being snarky when I see an ad typically on Steam. I mean, let's be perfectly honest, that's where I'm going to see most of these. Doing my fixed ad series. Maybe that'll be a thing, I don't know. Until I get a cease and desist.
You quit defaming our company right now.
Well, you stop calling betas, or stop calling demos betas, and we'll call it even. How about that?
I mean, that sounds fair to me, but I doubt they'd see it that way.
And, of course, we also have the official Twitter, which I'm pretty much in control of right now, even though you do have the keys to the kingdom.
I've got all of the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, but you don't do anything on Twitter to begin with.
I was doing more on Twitter this week. I posted several tweets and have been replying to people.
Ooh, replying to people.
I'm back.
Which, speaking of the Twitter... VGL podcast on Twitter. We have a couple of stalkers, it seems. I mentioned this to you before the pre-show, but we'll do it again. When I created the account, I basically mothballed it for a week, and I didn't check it last week because who would find a unused Twitter account? Well, it turns out there's 2 people that did. Supe found us and tweeted at us.
Supe.
Little sneaky thing, you. And then Lithobreaker also found us and just followed us and didn't say anything about it. So we have 2 stalkers. But the Twitter account is fully active now, and I think it's looking rather nice.
Indeed it has. It has? Indeed it does. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Which... brings a nice medium place for you to jump in. So anytime now.
Yes, indeed. You can follow me on Twitter at JMA4707. You can check out my YouTube channel, Gaming Psychologist, and what are you doing on there? On the YouTube channel this week, got a couple streams going up. Got a couple of Space Engineers videos going up. And while I'm gone on my trip, I'm going to attempt to record some vlogging stuff. I thought it was funny that you mentioned vlogging because I used to do some vlogging and blogging, and I quite enjoyed it. I just like monologuing about things, honestly. And
you sly dog.
There's a reference that hopefully all of you will get because the movie's awesome.
I would say it's incredible.
Oh. Well played, sir. Well played. But anyways, if I've got a chance, I'm going to do some vlogs. I don't know. Getting mixed up on my words there, vlog and blog. But anyways, do some of that while I'm gone.
Just do a log.
Yeah, I'll do a log.
I heard it rolls downstairs.
It rolls downhill. It'll float down the river.
You don't get that reference, do you?
No, I'm sorry. No,
Ren and Stimpy?
I never watched Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, they did basically a takeoff on the Slinky song, only using a log.
I gotcha. But, yep, doing some of that, and of course setting it to EVE Online because I keep trying to find ways to cram that into my work so I can be like, no, see, it's for something other than just staring at spreadsheets. Which I'm up to 2 spreadsheets now. I forgot to mention that earlier. I've got 2 spreadsheets.
I have a thought, and I think I need to share it.
Okay.
In about a year or two, we're going to hear about you scheduling your therapy sessions through Eve. People are going to have to log into it and find you.
Well, people have already... Like, I say that about myself right up front. There's a lot of things I keep secret, both about myself and about my Eve characters, but it's like, you meet someone new, it's like, oh, what do you do in real life? It's like, oh, I'm a therapist. And they're like, oh, okay, cool, you're a therapist. Let me tell you about my problems. I'm going to start charging people ISK to tell me about their problems.
What, you removed them from Steam trading cards?
Well, I mean, not everybody who plays Eve plays through Steam. Because you can play Eve through Steam, or you can have the launcher itself. I mean, 100 I'd like to say 100 million ISK. Maybe I could get 10 million ISK. Tell me about a problem for 10 million. Have me give you some advice for 100 million. 1 billion for a full session. That's it. I'm going to put that on my profile. Seriously, I'm going to put that on my profile. Let's see. Let's just see if I get any money. I will report every week on whether or not somebody paid me for therapy in Eve.
Which tells you a lot about their problems.
Yes, it does. But that's what's coming up for me in the coming week.
And that wraps us up and brings us to the closing of the show. As always, you could email us at vglpodcast@gmail.com. And sorry, Supe, that we didn't really have time to do a proper community corner. But don't worry, the novel is coming. Or you could tweet us at, well, what I just said, VGL Podcast on Twitter. And if you don't use either of those, you just go to the website, Video Game Logic Podcast at blogspot.com. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at computech.com.
And you can find our work on any podcast app that you have, the RSS feed, or you can find us over on iTunes. Just search Video Game Logic. We'd really appreciate a review.
Do we have any reviews there?
I haven't checked.
Well, go check.
I'll go check right now. And then I'll just cut this down so that it happens immediately.
Or you just put in, like, wait music or something. I'm sure Kevin MacLeod has some elevator music you could put in.
I'm sure he does. All right, iTunes, the one time I want you to open, you don't open. It opens all the time, randomly, on its own, despite the fact that I've told it that I don't want it to open unless I specifically ask it to.
And there's a reason why I don't use Apple products.
And then I go to open it, nothing. No response. All right, Video Game Logic.
Well, we could always start just making it up. Yeah, we have 10,000 5-star reviews. That's amazing.
It appears that we have not received any ratings yet, but you can be the first.
Maybe iTunes was trying to save us from that embarrassment.
Probably. I don't really care. iTunes is an embarrassment on its own. We would appreciate positive reviews, but if you feel so inclined to leave us a negative, please at least give us some feedback as to why you did so that we can work on fixing it. Am I missing anything? Is that it?
No, I'm pretty sure that's it, even though it feels like we're missing stuff just because we skipped over a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Also, if you like this short form, please tell us. I doubt we'll change our main format, but maybe we'll do kind of mid-rolls every once in a while. Do another 0.5 episode here and there. And then you can get a nice short listening experience.
Yeah, but just like a Million Lights commute, what would he do without us just chattering away in the background?
Well, the thing is if we do a 3-hour episode normally, and then occasionally on top of that, an extra hour episode, he'll just get more of us to chatter away.
Poor Million Lights.
But that brings us to, as always, as the music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
Yeah, see you next time.
Bye-bye. But he's fine. Somehow, him listening to me sing makes him feel better.
I thought I heard that as well.
Yeah, my singing voice is pretty rough.
Well, I couldn't make it out. I just could hear it, very faintly.
I am waiting on iTunes.